My background in the motor trade is Tesla, and I realised that they weren't necessarily actually using the used car market that much. So let's give it a go. There's three main reasons why people will buy an EV. You've got the performance side of them, the cost savings, or it's the eco side of it. We couldn't have this building and sell diesel Range Rovers out of it. It just wouldn't work. Not many people are walking around with the ability to sort of afford 60 grand on a car. So
He does.
Yeah.
What about horror stories? Have you had a certain brand of car and you think, oh, I'm never having another one of those?
This is probably a bit of a theme across the motor trade.
All we do is try not to die. Makes any sense?
The first 2 months I didn't pay myself at all.
Working every hour you're awake.
Phone just does not ring.
I look so terrible because I was like working in the US constantly.
And then there's me sitting in my underpants at home trying to sell a few cars.
Wasted all of my money on cars.
£7.5 billion worth of transactions through that platform.
But AutoTrader didn't seem to care.
It makes them more money though, that's what matters.
It's 3 years ago. What do you want from a used car?
He was the grumpiest man I've ever met in my life.
I'll come up north and we'll have a few Negronis.
Go on! What a cracker!
Hello everyone, welcome back to Dealer Pod, the UK's #1 motor trade podcast. This week, as always, I'm your host Stephen Douglas alongside Scott Sibley. This week's show is proudly sponsored by our own trade-to-trade platform, Dealerway. Now, if you haven't joined up, please do so. It's free to do so, and you can list all your part exchange vehicles on there and trade cars for free to over 3,000 vetted trade buyers. And if you're short of stock, there is plenty of cars being listed by both independent dealers and main agents. Now, before we get started, can you just do us a favour and just make sure that you smash that like button below, or hit subscribe and turn on all the notifications so you never miss an episode. But please make sure you at least like the show, because it does really help the show get seen by more and more people each week, and helps us massively, really, to be fair. So with all the housekeeping out the way, let's get straight into it. This is This Week in the Motor Trade.
This Week in the Motor Trade, brought to you by Dealerway.
This Week in the Motor Trade, Scott, what's been happening? What's going on?
Not a great deal, really, I would say. I know last week on the last pod we're talking about we'd been making some changes to do with the workshops and things like parts and things like that. So our parts pricing that we've been doing this like last week and the week before, probably since Christmas, I would say by ringing around and getting better prices for parts for cars is definitely will add 75,000 to the business.
What, in a year, you mean? Right.
Yeah, in a year. Saving.
Massive that, like, isn't it?
Massive. And it went down, I mean, we buy a lot from Euro, and it went from regional management as to how come our account just about stopped to national. I think it got raised like nationally to find out what was going on. So they've obviously renegotiated terms with us and slashed all their prices, but I think it was, all the business was going to them just out of probably just like habit or favoritism or whatever, and they probably just not really kept us on the right, prices for parts. So they'll obviously bring that down now, so we might not see a big impact against the firms now, the suppliers. But I think all in all, probably an easy 75 grand a year. So that was been a good saving. And what else has been happening this week? Not a great deal, really. I've been selling cars. Kids are off in our area, obviously students, so that when the schools are off, it always seems to affect the sales, but we're chipping away. Mm-hmm. How are you? How are you finding it?
We had a storming start of the month, and
we did
sort of like storming middle bit of the month, but we're veering into towards the end of the month now, and it's quietened off a little bit. But like you say, it might just be the kids being off. Just problems with cars. Last batch of cars that I've bought, I've had some issues with, and it's nothing that I can pinpoint that it's it's come from this source or it's come from that source. It seems to be from every bloody source. I've had.
What was that thing you put in the group about the clutch and flywheel thing before?
No, I was just. We've got a job on a Kia Ceed that needs we've already spent about 1,500 quid on it, various other things, and now it turns out it needs a new clutch. And I was just asking whether we should change the flywheel, because I know it's obviously recommended, and just put that in the group to see what other people's thought. But we're going to do it anyways. We're going to do it properly and change the flywheel, because it'll be sod's law. We'll change the clutch, and then 3 months down the line it'll come back needing a clutch and flywheel again. So we're just going to do it properly.
How did you find out about the clutch and flywheel after they'd already done the initial work, or was that just part of the full job?
I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest with you. All I know is just
now it needs
my
a
head.
clutch and flywheel.
I just now needs a clutch and flywheel. So my head's been just sort of engaged with sort of trying to buy as many cars as I can, and I've just let them crack on with it. And they've said we've spent a few quid in it already. They thought that there might have been a problem with the clutch, but they thought they might get away with it. But the more they've drove it again, thought, no, it needs a clutch. So, and then they've come back and says, oh, if it needs a clutch and it's X amount, we're going to have to put a flywheel in as well. And do you want to do it? And obviously the price of the clutch and flywheel altogether is nearly $2,000. So, but that's just one more problem to add to a list of problems that we seem to have been having with some of the stock that we've been buying recently. But
sounds like an auction car, that.
It was an auction car, yes.
Because if it was a private one, your driver would have picked up on that.
We would have picked up on that. But
so the first in reverse.
Well, actually, the multitude of problems that it had, we tried to back it to the auction, because we felt that there was things that should have been picked up on their inspection that weren't. I'll not name the auction because they're all really same, to be fair. And we'll put a claim in. They came out, sent their inspector, and then just basically says, no, nothing's covered. On your way, which is the norm, really. It's just hard, isn't it? So hard buying cars, especially at scale, like
the battle.
It is total battle. But actually, we normally try and stock 60 to 70 cars, and to be fair, for the last 4 or 5 months, we haven't been anywhere near that. We've been hovering around the 45 to 50 cars. But what I've begun to realise, just the way that our business works, we haven't really sold any less cars, having less stock. And it's made us reevaluate a little bit, thinking, do I really need to have all that many cars, especially with us looking for a new site? And I'm thinking, like, do I need as big a site as what I thought? So if it continues on that trend that where we're doing the numbers that we need to do without the level of stock, I think it'll be a good thing, to be fair. So it might enable to look at another place where maybe previously I would have thought was too small for to move into. But we'll see.
We're reducing our stock, but not by a huge amount. But the idea is to get the right stock, so we'll still sell the same amount of stock, but we're stocking less.
Well, exactly. Snap.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
What we're doing, just for the viewers, me and Scott are going down to see Carwow. Is it a couple of weeks? What one now? A couple of weeks' time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
We need to book our trip. Are we going to stay for the night before, or we're staying the night of the thing, or not? What we're doing? Because we're going down to do a show called Battle of the Buyers. That's going to be on Carwow's YouTube platform. I think the premise is there's different dealers being invited down, and we've basically got to buy a car in Carwow's auction, and it gets sold afterwards. And whoever makes the biggest profit becomes the best buyer. So be very
I didn't actually know what it was about.
Did you not?
No, I know nothing about that.
So basically, all the dealers are competing with each other. So I think it's going to become very competitive. But they're all knackered now that I'm going, so I'll win that one. Hopefully.
So it's go down the night before or stay down the night with them.
We'll have to suss on what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But other than that,
but like I said in the message as well, Stephen, which I messaged you the other night when it was to do with sharing a room, and I'd said I'd rather sleep in a tent with an immigrant under London Bridge than share a room with you again. And I thought that was a polite way of putting it.
Why?
Because you're snoring and all your noises you make when you're asleep.
I do make some. It has been told us that I make some funny old noises when I'm asleep. I'm a big lad, you know.
No, it's made like little squeaks and then humming noises and little. You go, it's like you don't really do proper snoring, so it's a nightmare. Yeah. So.
Are you a light sleeper though?
I am, right.
Oh yeah, well that'll be why.
Yeah.
See, once I'm asleep me.
Oh no, tell us about that. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll rabbit it on a bit. So yeah, that's there's not much else really. We're selling cars, kind of complain. I think we'll be on for if we pick up a touch. I think we'll be on for a canny month. It's just keeping the wheel turning, isn't it? Keeping the wheel turning. Attention dealer pod listeners, do you want a better, quicker, more profitable way of trading out of your part exchanges or overage stock? List your cars on Dealerway today and connect with over 3,000 vetted trade buyers actively looking for vehicles. No hidden fees, no hassle. Start your own custom auctions from your desk or the palm of your hand in our game-changing app, or advertise your stock on quick, easy, buy it now listings to our eager buyers who are waiting to quickly acquire vehicles. What are you waiting for? Join Dealerway today at dealerway.co.uk and streamline your disposals. Should we introduce this week's guest then?
I think we should.
Right, great stuff. This week's guest is the owner of ERLS Vehicles based in Northampton. I'm really pleased to welcome to the show Mr. Magnus Erlandsen. Hi Magnus, how's it going? You okay?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, no, really good. Yeah, no, very happy to be here.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So Magnus, we'll jump straight in. I had a little look at your website because obviously I wasn't really aware of you beforehand and done a little bit of digging, but it seems that you concentrate a lot on EV stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we're quite a fresh business, I suppose, in the motor trades. We started 2020, October, and probably got into it full time in 2021. It's actually 4 years this month that we've been going for sort of full time trading. And we are solely electric vehicle specialists. We only sell EVs. That's all we've had in our forecourt. So it's an interesting market to be in the sense you're dealing with technology ultimately, and technology moves so quickly. You've got to really sort of stay on top of it and adapt. So,
what was the thinking behind niching down in the EV market then from the off?
So I used to work for Tesla. So that's sort of my background in the motor trade is Tesla, which isn't your typical main manufacturer anyway. It's very much like buying a phone almost with buying a Tesla. It's you pick your color, your sort of your capacity, and you order it online. So when I was with them, I focused a lot on the delivery side of the newer cars and used cars, and I realized that they weren't necessarily actually using the used car market that much. They'd get a lot of their own cars part exchanged and then send them off to auction to BCA. So there was a bit of a shake-up. Things changed obviously with COVID, as it did for most people. And I was chatting with my old man, and he sort of said, well, let's give it a go. So here we are. We started with a few cars, and we do about sort of 15 to 20 in stock. So yeah, it's been quite a journey.
So there's just you and your dad in the business then, is that?
Yeah, so my dad's he's close to retiring, but he quite likes buying cars, picking them up, and then sort of handing them off for me to deal with the sales and everything else. Yeah. So I think trying to do this as one person is tough. We're quite rural, so finding things like body work or servicing, it's nice having the two people in the sense. Drop the car off, we come back, pick each other up, sort of thing. So, in terms of sort of the prep, sales, everything else, that's all me. So, we have got a detailer who he's self-employed, but he would come in and work on the cars. So
what was your dad's background previously then?
His background's construction. So
right,
it's it's one of the reasons why. No, it is. He still does it, but. He sort of had his own business, and he's sort of been able to impart some of his knowledge onto me. So, sort of an advisor in a sense. So, but the whole building, if you obviously on our website, we have an eco showroom. So, he wanted to do an eco home, couldn't quite find the site, but when we sort of talked about doing this, he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do the eco showroom." So it's. We've got 16 solar panels on the middle building that we're in. It's all, hence why it's all wood behind me. It's all sort of renewable or reusable materials, not using plasterboard. It's a recycled sort of rubber flooring. It's it's a bit different to most big dealerships. So
I'd actually noticed that. I'm actually trying to find your website now to bring it up. 2 ticks on your website there. I don't know if everyone can see, but
can you see it? Yeah, it's good.
It looks well. Looks really well. He's done a good job with it, mind.
Yeah, I mean, if you click on the 3 lines at the top, you'll see there's a section just on the showroom itself. So that we've got an EPC rating of A, which is pretty good for a commercial. That's the building we started with. That's the building I'm currently sat in, and that was actually the back of a showroom and petrol station. So the house is on the right. That's behind me at the minute. An actual car showroom and a petrol station. So it's, again, trying to do this in COVID was not the easiest thing in the world to do. I think everybody working from home decided to redo a bathroom, redo a kitchen. So finding the tradesmen to do it was tough, and obviously materials were not easy to come across for certain bits. But yeah, it's we try to go as eco as possible without going crazy. A lot of this stuff is achievable, not just for customers, but for businesses as well, doing this sort of stuff. So,
what was the thinking behind doing that? Then, are you quite sort of like conscious of the environment, both of you, or is it just what was the thought behind it?
It's a USP in the sense that we're selling electric cars, and the sort of three main reasons why people will buy an EV is you've got the performance side of them; they're all naturally very quick. The cost savings, whether it be through a business or even just sort of in the running costs, or it's the eco side of it. If you wanted to cut down on your emissions and be a bit more climate change friendly, an electric car is a good way to do that. So that was sort of, we thought we can't really show off the cost savings and the performance necessarily. So we thought, well, let's do the building, and that's obviously from the point of a customer, it's showing that also we're quite linked to what we sell. We couldn't have this building and sell diesel Range Rovers out of it. It just wouldn't work. But from a business point of view, those solar panels obviously run this building. They'll charge the cars. Things like the rainwater harvesting cuts our water usage down. Overall, our bills in general are pretty low. I mean, our electric bill will be higher than most anyway, purely just because of the cars we're selling. But it is, I think in the summer, we're actually sending more energy back to the grid than we're actually using on site. So, of course, it really brings the cost of running a business down. So,
and we put the solar on our 3 sites there last year, and we got grants from the council to do it. And they were quite helpful, the council.
Yeah.
But where my office is now, I don't think we actually get much of an electric bill now. We've got 3 electric car chargers here as well, and the oven, the body shops, and the workshops are in this building. It's very little electric cost, and then also the other 2 sites as well. I'm not sure exactly what the saving was, but it was massive.
Yeah, it's you've always got that sort of initial upfront cost, but you quickly make that back. I mean, the thing, we've got 2 batteries here, but we're not necessarily the best people to have batteries. Obviously, if you're at home, if you're a customer with your solar panels and batteries, you're typically going to be out of the house 9 to 5 when you've got the sun shining. So having the batteries is good in the sense of storing it, then using it in the evening. For us, we're here during the hours where the sun is up, so we're pretty much using what we generate.
What you generate,
exactly. So it's for most businesses, I think solar's a fantastic idea, and there's the cost of doing it, but it gives you a lot of benefits. So
I think our outlay was about 35 grand, and then we got the grants as well, which worked.
I mean,
we've just done
built a carport on the building next to us. We're putting more solar on that. I think when we looked at the cost of actually doing it and the solar, it was around sort of £40,000. I think that was probably just about a year and a half ago. Now it's coming in around 20. So even the price of panels themselves have come down. They're a lot more accessible now. So
did you, before you even sold a car, you made the site? Is that what happened?
We did 4 cars before we started the site. So we had a Jaguar I-Pace.
So you dived in then?
yeah, we did. Yeah, I mean, we had a Jaguar I-Pace, we had a BMW i3 and a Volkswagen e-Golf, and then someone we know, he was selling his Tesla. So those were sort of our 4 cars. They sold pretty well. We thought, well, let's make something of it. Actually get a premises. The site we're on is this, the smaller building that you've seen on the website, plus there's a warehouse. So we're only going to start off with this showroom and a gravel forecourt, out the side, which can house about 10 cars in there. And we can squeeze 3 in the showroom. There's 2 bigger ones at the minute, but no, that's what we're going to start with. But then within a couple of years, the tenants of the main building moved out, so we took over that, and the whole site is us now. So we can keep the cars indoors and out of the rain and things.
So did your dad already own the land or something, or did you purchase it basically just to do this?
No, just for this. Yeah.
Just for this?
Yes. Yeah. So it's
so obviously, looking at the original pictures, it was all grass and everything, wasn't it? So you've tarmacked it and everything. You've done it from start to finish. We've totally customized it how you wanted it.
Well, to a degree. I mean, this is the building you see on the website. That it's still the original brickwork. So all we've done is just clad it on the inside and the outside, and obviously insulated in between. So again, it doesn't take much to heat this building or to cool it. But obviously we're trying to keep it as eco as possible. That means not knocking it down and starting again. In hindsight, it would have been easier to knock it down and start again, but there's obviously the cost in doing that, and it doesn't sort of suit what we're doing. But this is all original 70s building, so it needs maintaining as well as sort of smartening up. So we're doing bits as much as we can, but obviously you can't all do it in one run. It's a lot to do. So it's just sort of little bits of smartening and improving just gradually. So
how many cars can you actually get at that site then if you are full?
I'd say completely full. It's probably going to be around, I'd say 60. Sort of a mix of sort of inside and outside, and obviously keeping it movable. So.
And is that the plan to get up to that sort of size then, or?
Yeah, no, definitely. We varied quite a bit since we started. Obviously, when EVs, when we sort of properly started trading out this building, were still quite high in price. We had, you take a Tesla for example, that's a few years old with 20,000 miles. It was probably worth about 60. Now that same car, same age, same mileage, is probably going to be worth somewhere around sort of the 30 mark. So obviously the price of EVs in general have come down quite a bit. Which just means obviously we can stock a little bit more, and we did a mixture of variety of cars, Tesla Model 3s as well, because obviously they're quite were very popular. This year we're sort of focusing a bit more on the specialist stuff. So again, it's sort of leaning more towards high spec sort of top end EVs, which is a bit of a niche that not many are sort of dipping into.
What would you describe those as? Like things like Audi e-trons and things like that, or are you talking something?
So
like
Porsche Taycan is quite a popular one. We've had we regularly stock those. Porsche Macan, the electric one, we've had one of those in and waiting for them to be a bit more accessible second hand. We've just had a Mercedes-Benz EQS, so the electric S-Class. That's we've just had that in stock, and that has not hung around at all. So we're thinking with our sort of niche about what we do, we can probably lean more towards the sort of the higher end stuff. So,
and what about sourcing, Magnus? Where are you mainly getting the cars from?
It's a variety. Typically, BCA for the odd one or two. We'll browse Aston Barclay in Mannheim. Carwow Motorway, good sources. You'll find that obviously a lot of the EVs coming through BCA will be ex-lease. Or company cars, so they're never really that well spec'd. There are you'll see loads of Model 3s, a lot of Polestar 2s. So the cars that we're sort of buying, that it would have been either a company director or a private buyer who bought it new, obviously had it for 2-3 years, and then selling it through either Motorway or Carwow. It's sort of that's where we usually find the unique stuff. So,
and have you found them more challenging as far as depreciation goes? Because I know a lot of dealers, we've had quite a few on here, and they can be a bit nervous about buying them because you give X for them and you put them up for sale, and if you haven't moved them, they seem to be they're dropping, they're depreciating quite a lot until they've plateaued. Have you found that challenging?
It varies. I mean, we had I think it was 2020, end of 21, start of 2022. The price of EVs just dropped. We had a Nissan Leaf that, it was thousands sort of lost on it. We had a few cars like that, which is a shame because they're nice cars. Nothing wrong with them. It's just what was a £30,000 Nissan suddenly very quickly became sort of £23,000-24,000. So I know that put a lot of dealers off. I mean, there's a dealer local to us. He was stocking one, and that sort of drop in price just completely put him off the idea of selling EVs, which I understand, obviously. For us, because again we sort of had a range of EVs, we could spread it, and we still have that point where we think, if this is how EVs are going down in price, it's is it the right thing? And we've stuck to it, and now they very rarely drop that much, no more than a normal sort of car on a forecourt. Occasionally we see them go up a little bit, not much, but other than that, they tend to sort of hold where they are now.
And did you do the battery testing with them all when you get the certificate? That thing with MotorCheck brought out, because we've just got one of those.
Yeah, I mean we've tried a few systems. We've got obviously BCA and I think Mannheim now use Avaloo, which is the system that MotorCheck do.
That's it, Avaloo.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, we've got we're with another company called Generational. They're a British-based company. They do nice reports. Right. Clearwatt as well. Right.
What was it, Oliver Philpott's company?
Yeah, he had one, didn't he?
His is Generational.
Generational, yeah, I thought
yes,
that.
One. His was good.
Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, we've used them. And then we've got Autel. They do quite a top-end EV kit. That's what we mainly use.
Right.
We're sort of,
that's we're just getting that as well. Last week, $6,500, I think it was.
That's the stuff. Yeah, it's
got that one.
Decent kit. The thing that I find interesting, and obviously try this, with the kit yourself, is it's something I want us to look into a bit more. We've plugged it into a car, and the battery state of health will be different on different testing kits, which is that's obviously a slight concern as to who's actually the most accurate.
Yeah.
And obviously what's the credibility behind it. So the stuff the kit that we use is we think is pretty bang on. There's only so much that a low BD scanner can pull from the car. I mean, ultimately the only way of testing battery health is to run it completely out of charge it all the way back up, and then how many kilowatt hours you've got in your battery. But that's obviously a lot of time getting the car to drain, and then the cost of charging them back up. So it's something we're sort of gradually looking at. We've had the Avaloo check came through with BCA, nice and clear. It was about 95%. When we plugged our Autel kit in, it showed there was an imbalance between the cells and the battery. So it's which is accurate, and that's I suppose what will make the difference down the line.
And when it goes down to battery health, Magnus, where would as a buyer, where would you draw a line? Is 80% or 70%? Where's it need to be?
A lot of it will just depend on your how you're going to use the car. If you're not doing big miles, you'll find that battery health isn't necessarily the be and end all of buying a car. If it's got 80%, that's all right. If you're only going to do 20, 30 miles a day. If you take a car with a 200 mile range that's lost that let's say 10%, you've still got a very good usable range for your daily driving. If you think about, I believe there's an EV dealer up in Orkney. You don't need an EV with a massive range on the Isle of Orkney, because you can't go very far. So having the biggest battery is not going to make a difference. Us personally, we find that most EVs will sit around the 90% mark. They always tend to lose the most within the first sort of year or two of driving, then level out. We've got an 8.5-year-old Tesla at the minute. That's 85% with 80,000 miles. But again, you think that technology is 8 years old. If you're looking at cars newer, that technology's advanced quite a bit in those sort of 8 years. I was looking at this with a customer the other day. Most of the cars coming out now have a quoted range. Obviously, this is quoted, so not real world, but over sort of 300 miles, 350. Some even sort of getting close to to 400. And if you think 3-4 years ago, that really wasn't a thing. So it's quickly changed and improved.
What about, Magnus, what about horror stories? What about, have you at a certain brand of car and you think, oh, I'm never having another one of those. I've been burnt on those a couple of times. Or what's been like your massive big like headache prep bill on an EV?
Because you get so few moving parts in an EV, there's never sort of lots of little issues. We've had the occasional big issue. I bought a 2014 Tesla for myself. I did 2,000 miles around Europe with it. And I had an issue when I came back. But I knew going into it, it's an 11-year-old EV. It was one of the first in the country from Tesla. I was banking on it potentially having an issue just because I know, what those earlier cars were like. This is probably a bit of a theme across the motor trade, but Jaguar Land Rover, the I-Pace is a fantastic car when obviously it wants to work.
Right.
We've had a few I-Paces. Again, it was one of the first cars we bought, but we had that one car that was out of warranty, and it just caused headache. And it it obviously puts you off it a little bit. I think if I was just doing I-Paces, I'd probably be, you get the big margins on some, and then others you're spending the money on obviously repairing it. But other than that, the most common thing we tend to do with EVs is it will be your standard car components. Brakes very rarely, but it's honestly, I think our biggest expenditure on EVs is probably servicing. My issue with electric car servicing is that you have to do it to maintain the warranty, but obviously changing the brake fluid and the cabin filter has no effect on the operation of the high voltage battery or the motor. If you don't change the brake fluid, it's not going to affect your battery. So obviously I appreciate, with petrol diesel car, oil filter, oil, spark plugs, that obviously, if you then have an issue with your engine, and haven't serviced it. But with an EV, they do the 8-year warranty, and some are quite lax on it. Tesla, for example, we had a Tesla which it was a 2014, had a month left on its 8-year warranty. This is a few years ago now, and the motor was making a bit of a whining noise. Still worked fine, but took it into Tesla. There was no sort of question on your service history or anything like that. They said, "Yep, it's making a noise. We'll get a new one come from America and we'll fit it in 3 weeks," sort of thing. So,
that's good.
But I know if
so I take it if you do have many big issues, then a lot of your cars will be under manufacturer's warranty as well. So you haven't really got much of a problem when it comes to, comebacks, I suppose. And if you do have problems with cars, you can get them sorted.
Yeah, it's the big thing with EVs is everyone thinks the high voltage batteries cost so much to replace, and they do to replace it, which obviously any manufacturer you go to, they very rarely will repair a component, they'll just replace it. Right. That goes in the sense of the battery, that's what they will do, Tesla included, just replace it. But there are specialists now who will have the battery out of the car, take it apart, find the failed component, repair or replace that component, and then put the battery back together. So in my 2014 Tesla, I did 2,000 miles in Europe in May. I was on the fast charges every day, had quite a gentle life, and then I sort of put it through its paces. And what had happened is I'd basically burnt out one of the battery monitoring boards. So all the cells in the battery were fine, nothing to do with those. It was just one of these, like a computer sort of chip that had burnt out. I got a specialist on the south coast to basically they repaired it. As when they had the battery out, they checked all the seals, any sort of preventative measures, common issues, they all sorted and put it back in. So it was a fraction of the cost, probably a third, if not maybe even a quarter of what a new battery would have cost me.
How much is that roughly?
That was about 5,000 for that.
To fix it, right? We had Sheik was a guest on the podcast, and I was talking to him last year, and he said there's for Teslas, he thinks there's a dealer in Ireland, and it's a bit like a scrapyard, and they'll cause what's being an accident, they'll strip them down, and they'll bring the batteries out, and he says you can buy like a used battery from a Tesla from that type of place for about $2,000, $2,500.
Yeah.
So maybe more of those will pop up as the years come on, I suppose.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's we work with a chap over in Birmingham. He just focuses on Teslas, and he will have people with original cars. He can upgrade their battery pack from one to a newer one. So obviously improving the range and the charging speeds as well. Other bits, he'll just do, take a battery out. If the module has failed in the battery, take that out, put a replacement in, and you're good to go again. Again, it depends on, obviously, if you've got a 12-year-old EV and your range is a bit weak and you have an issue with the battery, you might think that's not worth me, repairing it. I'll replace it and I can get, plenty of life out of it. But you'll find that the whole sort of battery degradation, I think there was a report spotted the other day, most sort of EVs 8 to 12 years sit around the 85%. But other than that, there's very, very few that sort of go below that. Unless obviously you're doing mega miles, but there's loads of cars. I mean, even here in Northampton, we had a chap turn up. His Tesla had done 240,000 miles or something like that, and original battery, original motors. So it's you'll always get the one car, same with a petrol or diesel, that will have issues. That is just any product these days is so much tech in everything. You'll always get the odd one that wasn't put together on a good day, but the majority, they're solid. So.
What about marketing? Do you do any kind of specialist marketing? I mean, obviously you've got the AutoTrader things on the back wall there, and you've won awards there. So are you mainly into AutoTrader?
Yeah, for us, I know obviously AutoTrader is a mixed bag for a lot of dealers. It's for us, we ran obviously a package with motors when we first started. I think probably because of the price of EVs being a little bit too high. When I sat down and worked out how much I was spending with motors, say I'd spend £400 a month for a couple of inquiries, I'd spend obviously 3 or 4 times that with AutoTrader, but I'd have a lot more inquiries. So at the end of the day, my cost per lead was actually a lot better value through AutoTrader. So we've sort of stuck with AutoTrader since. Again, obviously motors are saying about a month trial. I'm thinking I'll dip my toe back into that, see if it's improved now. The EVs are sort of sub £20,000 for some, sort of 3-4 year old, or even some of the newer ones are still, sub 20 now. But typically it's done us well. We're not on the main road, so we don't often, we don't get a lot of walk-ins or sort of passing trade, and we've obviously managed to build up quite significantly in sort of 4 years just with AutoTrader. So.
What sort of volume are you doing on a month-to-month basis then, Magnus?
So we are, I think on average, it's about 8 to 9 cars. So it's obviously the odd quieter month, but then other months where it's just completely busy. We sort of turn over the entire forecourt. So it's it's hard for us to look back and sort of see how it was the year before, because we've just constantly changed. Sort of obviously it's always been electric, but in the early days we did a lot of the older Teslas, and then we moved to a lot of sort of Tesla Model 3s, did quite a few of those. More recently we've done a bit of a mix. We still stock Model 3 and Model Y Teslas, but we've got MG, Skoda, Audi, BMW, Kia, Hyundai, all a good range. This year we're looking at more sort of as I sort of mentioned, the premium stuff. So it's hard to look back and say, oh, we did better than the year before, because again, our forecourt's completely different. It's it's hard to call, but.
And do you get many customers turn up where they're not sure what they actually want? They know they want an EV, but so they would come to you and say, look, can you advise me on this? Or do you find they've already done the homework in advance and they know what they want?
A lot of it now is their own work. I find that a lot with people is they know what car they want, is what we tend to find, and that they want to go electric. The big thing for us is at the end of the day, an electric car is still a car. You've got 4 wheels, a steering wheel. You can jump in one. You pretty much work out, the controls are quite standard, your indicators, wipers, and just drive it. It's the change in lifestyle. So it's that mentality of not going out filling up the petrol station once or twice a week. It's that sort of charging at home. Taking an extra 5 minutes on your longer journeys just to sort of plan it out. It's that mindset that is one of the reasons why sort of people will go to a specialist is we've been doing that ourselves since sort of 2016 as a family. So it's that getting people to understand, living with an EV is the main thing. We get it constantly. They say, I'm coming to look at this car. I've crossed off that and that off my list. This is the one I want. But how do I go about charging it? What's your advice on this? Any tips on that sort of thing? So,
do you just tend to stick with AutoTrader, Magnus? Are you doing any other marketing outside of that? Are you on social media doing anything there? Or?
We post on Instagram and Facebook as much as I can. It's I'm sort of the one who does all the social media, and I'm not a big social media user myself, so it's sort of forcing myself to do it. We did a brief stint of a few videos on YouTube, which had quite a we had about 8,000 views on comparing a Hyundai Ioniq 5N with a Porsche Taycan. Sort of, they were both 60 grand cars, the Hyundai being 60 grand new, the Porsche being 60 grand used. So that's, we've had people say, I've seen you on YouTube, or they've phoned up saying, are you the guy on YouTube? Thinking, I've only sort of put out a handful of videos, and even in that, sort of people have seen them, have come across them. So
if that's happened, I would lean into that if I was you.
The thing is everything here is sort of done
by you,
done by me. So in terms of the YouTube videos, I'm obviously presenting them, and then I'll be editing them.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah, exactly. So it's everything. It's try and just do. Again, I've looked at sort of getting somebody in for the social media, but I thought the thing is, if I want to be in the social media, be the face of it, that's obviously taking my time anyway to to present, to film and do all of that, and I don't necessarily, again, the priority at the end of the day is selling cars, so it's
but I just think, Magnus, my thoughts on it, to be honest with you, hearing the sort of volume that you're currently doing, hearing about what space you've got to expand into, so that you've obviously got scope there to grow the business. I do think someone who's literally niching down like you are, really into like a tight space, like we're EV experts. I think if you were to employ somebody to help you with the social media, even if you were to be, like you say, the face of it, and I think you come across as a good talker as well, very trustworthy, and I think you'll have a vast knowledge of the EV space. If you can position yourself to the audience to say, like, look, I am the EV expert, we're the EV experts, come to us for an EV car, even if the people who are watching aren't necessarily looking for a car at that point in time, they might remember you and come back to you to see your content, and when they are ready to purchase. And I just think organically over time, if you put the effort in, that will help massively grow your business. Like, I think especially for someone that, if someone's just selling a variety of whatever cars, it's going to work, but I don't think anywhere near as much as what it would for someone who niches down as much as what you do. I think it would be, why I'm passionate about and see it and bring it up is both me and Scott use social media hugely in my businesses, and without it, I wouldn't have a business. I run my business without AutoTrader, without that bill. And I think if you can get to a point where you remove that bill and you are doing it all yourself and bringing in all the business and it's just organically growing, I think it would be a great idea for your type of business, especially when you can showcase, your place that you've got, how it's all eco-friendly and what have you. And I think people would buy into that. I think you could make it some really good content with it. But with you saying that you've only put a handful of videos out and you've had people already, commenting about it, I think I'd be looking into that heavily if I was you.
Especially TikTok.
TikTok. I know it's time consuming. Totally think, but if you just take on the role of presenter and get somebody else in to be a video editor who shoots it, all the rest of it, I think it would benefit you massively.
I think with just EVs, you could do so much with the actual the niche. I was thinking now when you're talking Jolly Green Giant and Sparky, like some character there jumping around on TikTok, Sparky, and then people would follow you because I am jumping around doing these things. Yeah, it could grow from that. Like,
I think educational pieces about EVs, just short videos about, how maybe Google, like what the most searched for terms about EVs are, get a list of 20 of them, and then do 60-second videos on every question and give the answer, put them out, repurpose them, and I think you'll see it grow massively. It's time. It'll be, like I say, it's time consuming, and you probably have to pay someone if you're doing it on scale. But I do think looking at that rather than keep throwing money on more cars to go on AutoTrader and other platforms, I think it will be a really good thing for your business. That.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's something I wanted to lean into more this year. Is sort of it's fantastic doing the sort of the cheaper EVs. But the problem with doing that is it's not a problem. It's you're being quite busy for not a massive return. And again, it'd be the same across not just EVs but petrol and diesel cars. You're going for volume as opposed to sort of making big money on just one car. So one of the things I wanted to sort of move towards this year was going, right, let's not do quite the same volume. Let's not stock lots of Tesla Model 3s, which are all worth sort of 15 to 20, let's say. And, the amount of effort, obviously, you guys all know, you're going to prepping this car to then realize you're making, Tesla Model 3s at the minute, the prices are crazy. You're making somewhere between sort of $1,000 to $1,500 on them, which is, by the time you get the car back, you prep it, anything else, it's not enough. So it's a lot of dealers now are obviously stocking Model 3s. They're a fantastic, sort of EV. We've done very well with them, but obviously we're conscious now that I've got main dealers in the town centre who aren't actually Tesla. They're stocking Model 3s. So of course people will be thinking, you'll be looking at them and going to them for Teslas. Let's do something a bit more niche, but in the sense that, okay, I'm not spending, £60,000 on 3 Teslas. I'm buying one Porsche. That gives me the time to prep the car up a little bit more, but also spend the time to do a bit more with the social media, because I'm not having to, I'm not going to get a million inquiries on a Porsche. It'd be that one person who's looked at it, go, yep, that's what I want. Phone up, come and view it. The amount of times I've sort of taken calls on Teslas, and it's normally it's a lot more straightforward selling the higher end stuff, because the buyer really knows what they want.
What sort of margin would you have in a 60 grand Porsche?
Typically it's still around 10%. So it'll be about $6 grand.
Good money.
Yeah, it's good money. The thing you got, obviously, it's like anything. Not many people are walking around with sort of 60 grand or the ability to sort of afford 60 grand on a car. So it's
he does.
Yeah. I could be looking at it for sort of a month or two, but it's the amount of time I spend sort of looking at spec and things like that. That's what makes the difference. It's there's a Porsche. We've had 3 of the GTS Sport Turismos of the estate, always sort of plus £30,000 of options, and they don't hang around. They go pretty quick. It's knowing
was there a thing with Porsche where they were going on fire and they all had recalls or something like that? What happened with that?
So for a very brief stint, this affected our finance on them, because one of our lenders wouldn't fund them. They do now, so it's not a big deal. But we're quite picky on what we stock. The earlier Taycans, so sort of pre-2021, had quite a few issues, a lot of recalls and things like that. There was not catching on fire that I'm aware of, but more just sort of the battery pack would have various issues, and it just sort of shut down. You got to get it to Porsche, and they've got to work on it and that sort of thing. Again, it's all under warranty, but it's just a hassle.
So one under a manufacturer warranty, like a 3-year-old car, a 22, a newer, that would be okay to buy.
Yeah, I'd say so. We have a variety. One of the first ones we bought was a 2021, and there's an issue with the earlier Taycans, which is where in your front wheel arches, the vents are so big that the front tires would flick stones, and they'd sit at the bottom of the cooling fans. And what happened is obviously as that builds up, the fans are brushing up against it, eventually catching on it, and then they'll stop and burn the motor out. Those fans are obviously £1,000 a side. So it's costs like that, which the early ones suffered with. The newer ones, they've redesigned the wheel arch liner, that you don't get that anymore. They don't make a big deal of saying about that. They don't do this is now the 2022 model. It's they just kind of implement these changes. So it's things like that. Again, we learn that with experience. That's the thing. It's for us, it's also partly what the buyers want. We don't necessarily have that many buyers coming to view the older ones unless they've got an extended Porsche warranty on them.
Okay.
It's like anything. If you think about a mobile phone, a lot of people will go for the latest on the market, or one that's sort of 2-3 years old because of the technology. And it's almost similar with sort of electric cars in a sense. Is the newer you get, the later technology you have. Okay, it might not be battery size, but the car will charge quicker. So then you're suddenly, you're thinking, well, actually, for most of my journeys, to and from work, 150 miles is fine. But when I do that long journey, I know this car charges in half the time than one that's sort of 2 or 3 years older. So.
What about used vehicle warranty? So if it's out of manufacturer warranty, do you provide a warranty for the buyer?
Yes, so we've been with Evolution warranties for the past couple of years now, because the thing that attracted us to them was their coverage on high voltage batteries and motors. So this is even out of the 8-year period. They'd offer coverage on those. At the minute, I suppose like any warranty, it's some of the caveats and the terms of obviously their policy that can cause a bit of headache. I'm sure we've all had it where there's you think, well, that's not covered, great, I've got to fork out for it myself. But no, we've been very happy with them over the last couple of years. We've sort of thought recently about maybe going down our own warranty, being self-funded in that sense, just in the sense that if we can cut out a middleman and just have customers deal direct with us, we feel like it'll improve our service a little bit more. We've had a chap who he took a Tesla coming up to 10 months ago now, and he's saying he's only done probably about a couple thousand miles in it. He's saying obviously he's got a bit of water sort of ingress from the windscreen. Obviously, a warranty company is not going to cover that in any sense. But from our point of view, he was a good customer, nice and easy to deal with. He's only done a couple of thousand miles in the car. Whilst I have no obligation necessarily to sort of help out, I'd rather keep him as a customer than help out. In the sense, if he comes back for another EV, obviously he knows these guys helped me out the first time around. I'll be happy to buy again.
See that there, right there, Magnus? That was a video of our social media. That.
There you go, exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll be taking clips from the podcast and posting them. So.
Yeah,
or another video is when you say to them, if a stone was going to clip your windscreen and put a nasty chip in it, and you've got glass cover on your insurance, and the excess is £50, you get a brand new windscreen. They'll come into your door and fit it at your house. Cost you £50.
Yeah.
Just get a little ham and go like that in the corner.
Magnus, if you were to give any car dealer who may be watching the show some advice, who's never dabbled in an EV car yet, namely me, to be honest with you, I've never bought an EV. My wife actually owns an EV car. To be fair, she's got a brand new Tesla Model Y. She loves it. But I've yet to sort of dip me toe in the water to buy one to sell. Mainly because the sort of price bracket that I operate in, they've only just started to creep into it. But like, what advice would you give for someone like me, I suppose, who wanted to start buying a couple? Is there anything I need to be wary of? Anything I need to avoid? Anything I need to make sure that I'm getting right when I'm buying them?
No, I mean, I think you've taken the first step, which I was going to recommend, which was to have one yourself. Try it. That's the best thing you can do with an EV is learn the mindset of running an EV, what it's like charging at home, charging on the move, picking up bits of knowledge for yourself, because that will only help you impart that knowledge to buyers who are obviously once in your position of, do I go electric? Do I not? What are the benefits? If you can say with confidence, I've experienced this. I can do from here to Edinburgh to right the way down to the south coast, and I know I can charge it like this and that. It's actually quite simple once you get your head around it. That buyer will instantly be a lot more confident with switching to an EV, because it's that sort of that familiarity, in the sense that they say, oh well, this if this man here can do it, I can do it, sort of thing. Once you've sort of got your head around that, I think it's again, like anything, present it well, and obviously prep it well. Buyers now are obviously looking more and more towards electric, so it's.
I'm more thinking around what should I buy and what should I not?
The brands, yeah. Any you've had where they've just been like what we call up here, like kiss of death. You'd rather have AIDS.
So if I was gonna start buying a few electric vehicles, and I'd probably I won't retail anything more than 15 grand, and it's very rare I get up to that. To be honest with you, most of my cars are between like 9 and 13 grand retail value.
Them, George. I've got you 3 electric cars.
Have you?
And have them. Yeah.
Oh, the ones that you can't sell,
Yeah, 2 little minis and a little MG.
Yeah,
I'll take money back.
I bet you will. I'll avoid them ones.
I think again, I'll sound like a broken record saying this, mainly just because of how much you see them in the media. But in all honesty, a Tesla Model 3 is a good starting point.
I thought so. Yeah,
only in the sense that you've got at the minute. Tesla's charging network they've built that up as they've sort of built up the company in the UK. So you've got a charging network that's nice and easy to use. A lot of people I know, a lot of friends of the family, they've started with a Tesla because of the promise of the charging network. Then gone, actually, it's quite easy navigating the charging and charging at home. I'll go for something else. I'll go for premium this time. Let's go for Audi. Let's go BMW. Let's go Porsche, sort of thing. So I mean, we stocked Teslas from sort of 2019, 2020, back sort of a couple of years ago, and they've sold very well. I think nowadays most buyers are looking for 2021 onwards. Tesla did a slight revision where they've basically all the cars from 2021 are made in China. So the quality of build is surprisingly better than the American quality of build. But they made some minor improvements to the interior, exterior. You'll see easiest way to tell. The early ones had the chrome trim around the window and on the door handles. The newer ones are all black, sort of a matte black trim. But they also had a heat pump, which improves your efficiency in the winter. It's a more efficient way of heating the cabin and using less energy. So something like that.
Colours? In the Teslas, what about colours, Magnus? Any colours where you think, I've had like like a maroon one in there, like hard work, or white, as white hard work, or do people prefer black, or do you put body kits on them and things like that to try and give them a head start?
No, I mean, we did a few bits with mainly the black interiors will have that wood trim across the dash. That was your only option, either the black with the wood trim, we go for a white interior, and we're talking proper white interior with sort of white aluminium trim. What we found is you can easily get from there's sort of Tesla accessory places or even eBay and whatnot, just hard plastic coverings to go over this wood, even just in matte black. Honestly, makes that interior look so much more modern and smarter. A couple of black badges on the outside. We found that black typically sells better, albeit being a solid black, it's a right pain trying to make it look presentable. If you're looking for a fairly sort of low cost sort of prep wise, the grey's a great choice. It comes up really nice. It doesn't really show the stone chips too much. Blue can look a bit chippy.
Yeah, we had a blue one. I think that was a bit like a navy blue. It's just like a bit of a boring colour, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What about the where you get the performance or you get the long range? Is one of those better than the other?
I typically say long range is probably a good go-to. They're plenty quick enough. The thing with the performance is they come on 20-inch alloys with quite low-profile tyres, and of course with the roads around here, I'm sure it's pretty much the same across the country. they can be quite a firm ride. You'll find the alloys to be battered. Most people go for a long range in the sense you've got plenty of performance. You get all the same kit as the performance, just it's not obviously without the bigger motor at the back, and a very usable range. I mean, long range Model 3s of that sort of 2021 era will sit around sort of the 280, even up to 320 if you're a conservative driver with it, which is a very usable range.
And a Model 3 would sell better than a Model Y?
For us, we found that Model 3s have sold better. I think mainly, again, it's price. Model 3s have always been a little bit cheaper than the Y purely because of the size of them, but also they were... you can get a 2021 Model 3. Model Ys in this country are 2022. So again, there's always that price increase just because it's a newer car. I think you'll find that Model Ys, because the UK is such a sort of an SUV or small SUV dominated market, you'll always find that the Model Y will probably sell nowadays a little bit better. Again, with those, I'd stick with long range. Same. Tesla keep it very simple. It's 5 colours of this era anyway. They've brought a few back in with the newer ones, but you've got 5 colours, 2 interiors, a couple of wheel choices, and obviously your battery sizes. It's quite easy.
It's literally like buying an iPhone, isn't it?
Exactly. You can look at. The nice thing with Tesla is you can look at the photos and instantly know, right, it's got those wheels, it's got the that interior, that's it. Some of these cars you're looking at them thinking, you're trying to work out, has it got cruise control, has it got that, has it got this, and all of that. That becomes a bit tricky, but Teslas are quite simple in that sense.
I'm getting my accountant one. He's getting a BYD seal, is it? Is it the seal?
Yeah.
Seal. Yeah, he's getting that. It's something like 360 quid a month.
Yeah.
Cheap,
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing. A lot. I mean, we've sourced a few Model Ys for. I mean, we had a couple. They came and test drove a Model Y and a Hyundai Ioniq 5, and it was for her. She went for the Hyundai because she liked the. In all fairness to the Hyundai, it was a comfier ride. Range wasn't quite as good, but for her, she's not doing big miles. She liked the fact you've got a heads-up display, you've got a decent sound system, you've got ambient lighting, those sort of extra, sort of bells and whistles, lent more towards that. But he liked the Model Y, so he got back in touch 3-4 months later, saying, "You know what, I can see, the attraction of electric. I want a Model Y. I want a black on black with the black 20-inch wheels. What can you find for me?" And that's the second black Model Y we sourced in quite a short period. So you'll find them even through auction. If you're looking for, you'll always see black Model Ys with the black 20-inch wheels. They always quite popular.
That's what my missus has got. Is exactly
there you go.
Yeah.
That'll sell well when she comes around to shifting it on. So
yeah. One thing I would like to mention, I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but when we collected that car from Tesla, you mentioned it before, you used to work there. I've never experienced anything like that, like collecting a car the way I did. It was as if I was picking up an iPhone from a store or something, or just picking up a click and collect. It was a strange, I'm buying I don't know how much the car was, 50 grand or whatever, £50,000 car, brand spanking new, and I thought they would roll the red carpet out, and they didn't. It's just like, all right, there's the keys, there's your car over there. Yeah, weird.
I've seen your home address, George, and they've seen you thought you're a riffraff.
All right.
No, it's when I was at Tesla, I was doing one-to-one handovers. When the Model 3 first came out in 2019, that's what I was. I was in sales. They'd called various people over from the stores to come and help do these sort of handovers, which were one-to-one. When COVID came, sort of myself and sort of the team, across the country, we basically put in the system in place where it's what you get now. You can pay, up to up to about 60, 65 at a push. And it's the same thing. It's your car's over there. Here's your keys. If you're happy with it, off you go. Any questions, come back, but that's it.
When I turned up, the car was filthy, hadn't been vaulted correctly. And it had like these swirl marks all over the car. And we weren't happy, like, to be fair, I was a bit tough back about it, but they were just like, oh, well, that's the way it is. Tough titty.
When the Model 3 first came out in 2019, you'll see a lot of black ones because that was the standard colour. The reason why you see so many white ones now is because Tesla, obviously, we're spending a fortune sort of polishing the black cars for sale, and it's been a solid black. You really have to make sure it looks, its best. It was cheaper to change the standard color to white, and then just with it being a multi-coat pearlescent, you don't really need to polish it that much and worry about it, because you won't necessarily see the same swirls and scratches that you will do on black. So that's why white became the standard color. If anything, I mean, that white paint used to cost, I think it was about £2,000 to £3,000 as an option back when the Model 3 first came out. Then they just made it standard because it was just cheap. I think Tesla always sort of focused on getting cars sold quickly, get them made quickly, get them to the customer quickly. And obviously by making white your standard, that's again why you see so many of them, because it's the standard color now, and it saved Tesla a fortune in polishing and prep time.
What's the plans for or the future plans then, Magnus, for your LS vehicles?
I think it's sticking what we're doing. We're building up a customer base. We're happy with sort of the quality of product we're offering. Improving on that again. Obviously, improving the site and what we offer here. I think, as you say, social media will be probably our big thing this year. Is putting a bit more time and energy into that. Sort of trying to build that up, and just stick with it. I think it's we know what we're selling. We're happy. We're confident in the product that we're selling, and I think nowadays, having that sort of passion for the cars that you sell seriously comes across to the customer, and that's sort of won them over in some cases compared to looking elsewhere. It's just because we know what we've got and what we're selling. We believe in it, and improving on that. So I think it's improving our offerings, social media, and keep going.
Well, good luck with it all, mate. And I'd like to thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time. It's been very informative, actually.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. Thanks a lot, Magnus. And for everyone else, make sure you hit the like button, you subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks. See you, everyone.